Welcome to the Live to 110 podcast. My name is Wendy Myers, and you can find me on live to110.com. And you can find the video podcast on the corresponding blog post and on my YouTube channel, Wendy Live to 110. Go there and subscribe. Today we are interviewing AJ Mihrzad. He is at Online SuperCoach.com. And we're going to be talking about his book, The Mind-Body Solution, a permanent solution to weight loss, and all about how your mindset affects your ability to lose weight, and all about how he helps to train coaches, health coaches, to turn their passion into their dream in a way to make a living as well. So, great interview today. But please keep in mind that this program is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease or health condition and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The Live to 110 podcast is solely informational in nature, so please consult your healthcare practitioner before engaging in any treatment that we suggest on the show. And I want to talk to you a little bit about my own personal story. For many, many years, I suffered from depression. And I have had just a lot of mental health issues over my life. I was just unhappy because I had not found my life's purpose. Now I have finally found my life's purpose, which is helping you to get healthy. And I wake up every day excited. I wake up really early, too early sometimes, 5 or 6 a.m. in the morning, because I'm just so excited to get up and work and really enjoy and love what I do every day and helping you guys get healthy. But it wasn't always like that. And I think the key to happiness and the key to have a good mind-body set is to find your purpose. And I think that's when people feel truly fulfilled. And some are very lucky to find that early. I was a late bloomer. I didn't find it for a while. But I know a lot of you out there are suffering from depression and various ways. And that's why I started doing neurotransmitter testing for my clients. When I did it for myself, I don't know what took me so long to do it in the first place, but when I finally tested my neurotransmitters and found that I was low in just two, one was called PEA, and for that I supplemented a simple amino acid called phenylalanine, and that completely took away my brain fog. I was able to focus on my work every day, and I just could not believe how much better my brain is functioning just from taking this simple amino acid. Before that, to get my PEA, I was doing it through food. And PEA is abundant in chocolate. And so what I was doing was I was eating a gigantic chocolate bar every single day because I found when I did that about 2 or 3 o'clock, I just made a connection that I could focus more. I was much more involved in my work and able to really write really fast. My ideas were coming, and that was what I was looking for so that I could be creative and do what I do, write on the blog, etc. But obviously not a good solution. Over a couple of years, I put on about 20 pounds with that solution that I had come up with. And it was also my dirty little secret as a health coach. I'm telling people not to eat sugar, and here I am every day eating chocolate, stuffing my face with chocolate, because biology will always overcome willpower. And my body was seeking PEA that it needed for my brain to work. And since supplementing with the phenylalanine, I haven't eaten sugar since. I have not eaten sugar in 2 months. I haven't even, a couple of times I've had a couple of bites of dark chocolate, what have you. But old habits die hard. But I really have not had any of the cravings, not this white knuckle cravings that I know many of you are having come, 2, 3 p.m. during the day when you're seeking an energy rush or a boost for your brain functioning or what have you. And I know a lot of women out there are chocoholics, because I hear from you all the time, and you're emailing me and struggling like I was with your addictions to sugar or chocolate or whatever it may be. So I just want to encourage you to test and to do a neurotransmitter screen. They're available on the Live to 110 store at store.live-to-110. And for me, it was life-changing. It really dramatically changed my life for the better, and I'm so much happier. Just from the other neurotransmitter that I was low on was GABA. I just found that I wasn't sleeping so great, and even if I slept 8 hours, I would still feel kind of tired the next day. And I realized that based on my neurotransmitter test that I needed to take GABA. So I take phenotropic GABA. It's phenylated, which crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's much, much more effective than the typical forms of GABA that you find in most stores and health food stores, et cetera, and online. So I started taking GABA. Amazing sleep. I fall asleep easier. It used to take me a half an hour to go to sleep. I sleep so much better during the day, and I have more brain focus the next day and reduced anxiety as well. So just these two simple changes and these two inexpensive amino acids have dramatically changed my life. So I really encourage you to seek the same so that you can feel better and live your best life. Our guest today is AJ Mihrzad. He is the author of the best-selling book, The Mind-Body Solution: Train Your Brain for Permanent Weight Loss, where he proves that the key to a better body that's in shape, energized, and youthful is a healthy brain. AJ is a fitness professional and has a master's in psychology. He has also been featured in the Huffington Post, Men's Fitness, and on bodybuilding.com, and is a keynote speaker at various events. AJ is dedicated to helping fit pros and health coaches create an ethical and profitable online income at Online SuperCoach.com. AJ, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hey, Wendy, thank you so much for having me.
Well, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got into fitness?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I was a former chubby kid turned personal trainer. I was overweight for most of my life. I mean, I was 60 pounds on my heaviest. I had man boobs, big old chipmunk cheeks, and this huge stomach. And I was really insecure about my weight for many years. And it wasn't until my early 20s when I said enough is enough. I couldn't bear just the pain that I had, both physically and mentally. And I decided to really figure out how to get myself into shape. And I was clueless when I first started because it was, 20 years of being overweight, having bad habits. I would be on a diet for a week and then stuff my face with Oreos and screw everything up.
That's a lot of people do.
Yeah.
A lot of people do that.
One step forward, one step back. And it wasn't until I hired a personal trainer and a nutritionist and I learned things the right way. And I was like, wow, this is actually working. I'm doing things properly. And about a year's time with professional help, I got myself into shape. I lost the 60 pounds, the chipmunk cheeks disintegrated, and I actually had a six-pack. I was very skinny but lean. And I was like, wow, this is such a big transformation and really changed my life. I had a lot of self-confidence, more energy, but it made me realize that I really want to help others with their own personal transformations. I saw how much fitness just gave me a new world of possibilities, so I decided to go back to school and I majored in exercise science and nutrition. And then I really got the in and outs of understanding the mechanics of like nutrition and biomechanics of the body. And I started a personal training business and that just took off, because being overweight my entire life, I had a great way of connecting with people and I understood their pain and how difficult it is to be on a diet and even exercise. So I was able to get some really profound transformations and word got around and, my business grew from there. And I became so engulfed in understanding the ins and outs of fitness that I went back to school for psychology to get my master's degree. And that was like a game changer. That allowed me to change my program in a very profound way. And then over the years, I did a lot of things with online fitness. I wrote a book called The Mind-Body Solution, which became a bestseller. And now just really trying to branch out and spread my personal story of transformation and help more people in the process.
Yeah, so you have a mantra that I really like that we had talked about at some point. So what is your success quote? It's like the mantra that really gets you fired up.
Sure. I had a mentor, and his name is Joe Polish, and he said this one success quote to me, and it changed my life. And it says, "Be willing to destroy anything in your life that is not excellent." And it allowed me to just look at everything that I'm doing and what is taking up my time, what is at my lowest leverage point. I want to do things at my highest ideal. I want to simplify so I could multiply. So I approach everything in life through that lens. And if something's not working, let it go, stop it, and focus on activities that I love, that bring me flow, being around people that give me energy. So anything in my life that is not excellent, I'm willing to destroy it. So
yeah, no, I love that. I feel like I've been living that truth as well myself and letting go of people and projects and work and relationships that just don't work, that I just don't enjoy them or they don't serve you
Yeah,
in some way or bring you down, you have to let them go so that you can be your best self. So I love that. I really identify with that.
absolutely. Like that simple adage: if they lift you up, pull them close. If they bring you down, push them away.
Yeah, exactly. So, after you became a fitness professional, what methods helped you achieve your clients' transformations?
I found that once I went back to school to get my master's in psychology, just really understanding the inner workings of the mind and really seeing that, we live in the information age. So, nutrition, exercise, that information is so readily available and its application, getting people to actually implement and take action with it. So, understanding different ways to build a person's discipline, understanding just human behavior, habits, all these different elements. And with that, I really transformed my program to focus more on, I guess, working on the inside out, right? Because when you get the inside right, the outside takes care of itself. So understanding that that is the core of my program, the mindset. And then from there, we focus on the outer things like what to eat and what exercises to do.
Yeah, and so what are some of the other things that so how do you work with your clients? You try to establish, work with their mind body concepts. What kind of things do you do with them?
So what I do with them is really understanding, what is causing the weight gain from an internal level. We all know that when you're stressed out, your body produces a lot of cortisol. So that could be, a negative factor. It could be that just you're so busy, your mind is so overactive that you're doing something called decision fatigue, where your life is chaotic, right? And you're not allowing yourself to really simplify things so you could follow a regimented eating plan or make some time to go to the gym. So it's really understanding like where a person is and what is the root cause of their weight gain, right? Because a lot of people that come to me, they'll be on diets for like 2-3 months, lose weight, and then gain it all back. And there's like something within them that's sabotaging their success. Why can't they continuously lose weight or keep it off? So just getting to the root of that. So I'm very big on getting really deep into my clients' minds in terms of using questionnaires, really deep questions in terms of coaching to the root of the issue. But also I employ a lot of mindfulness. I found even with myself, for the many years when I was overweight and I couldn't stick to a diet, it was just having a lot of anxiety and feeling depressed. So many thoughts were circulating that I couldn't really focus. So it's like, how can I now develop daily habits that clear my mind, clear my thoughts, so I could focus on implementing small, simple tasks?
Is there anything else that you do? So what are the main things that you're finding with your clients that really prevents them from success and reaching their health goals and their fitness goals and their weight goals?
I feel the main thing is that a lot of people, they follow a program and they look at it like it's a chore in a sense, where it's not like a lifestyle change. It's like, all right, well, I have to be on this boring diet, which I hate. I have to go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. I have to do all these things that I don't feel like doing. And just, we're humans and we like the path of least resistance. So when we create this resistance for ourselves, we're not going to stick to it long term. So one thing is, how can we create a program that is more of a lifestyle shift, that perhaps is not just jumping into a very strict diet initially or doing morning cardio every day. It's basically easing into it, taking baby steps. And I like to use a progressive overload, where basically, maybe if you want to improve your diet, starting at like 10% at a time, adding a little bit of cardio here and there. It doesn't have to be like 30, 45 minutes at a time, and then easing yourself into it. So you kind of taper into a very progressive program. And over time, you become accustomed to it and you enjoy it, but also giving a person a variety, right? So picking foods that they enjoy, giving them recipes that, they don't mind eating all day long. Doing exercise, doing activities doesn't have to be on a boring treadmill. It could be outdoors or doing Zumba, something that is really just enjoyable for them. So just finding how you can incorporate a healthy lifestyle that doesn't feel like it's this discipline that's taken over your life.
Well, how did you get into psychology and helping, make that mind-body connection with your clients?
I guess it was my own overactive mind. I think most people that end up studying psychology, they want to fix themselves. So I think that the big shift was when I prior to me getting to the point where I wanted to lose weight and make a big shift. I was overweight and I was 60 pounds and I was very unhappy. But in my early 20s, I also drank a lot and I was using drugs, and I just couldn't turn this mind off. So I was like partying during the weekends, and it was always trying to escape from something, right? So then I was like, well, fitness is going to get me there. So, I took all my addictive habits and I focused on the gym. So I would go in for sometimes 2-3 hours a day. I was eating nothing but lettuce and turkey, just trying to lose the weight.
Yeah.
So it was like just going to another extreme.
Were you rolling them up, the lettuce and turkey?
Oh, yeah. That was like, I was eating a boiled egg. I'm like, I'm full. It was like a supermodel diet, right?
Yeah.
So I was at a point where after that year's time, when I lost the weight and I became skinny, I had a six-pack, like people would see me, and sure, I felt more confident and I felt like, wow, I'm a different man. However, I still felt unhappy, realizing that even though I transformed myself physically, there was still something missing. And I really realized, like, wow, this doesn't make sense. I thought that I would find happiness and fulfillment with this new body that I have, but I still felt insecure. And of course, it's like, 2 decades of dealing with depression and addictions. It doesn't go away just by getting a great body.
No.
So how can I retrain myself within to be happy with myself, to be at a point where I'm fulfilled? So like if I screw up and during the holidays I gain 15 pounds, I'm not gonna get all depressed about it, right? It's a part of life. It's the journey. So it's like not focusing on end goals, So that led me to understand, like, why am I not fulfilled? Now, what can I do to become happier? So the more that I understood the mindfulness and psychology, I came to understand how our minds work and how to have, everything, right? To have a great physique, be healthy, but at the end of the day, love yourself.
Yeah, I think there's women have a lot of problem with really loving themselves and accepting themselves with, and I've certainly fallen victim to this as well for many, many years, where they think if I could just be 5 pounds thinner, then I'd be happy.
Yeah.
There should be a book about that. But can you talk a little bit about, what is the philosophy behind your best-selling book, The Mind Body Solution, and some of the solutions you give people to, kind of psych themselves out to feel good about their bodies?
Absolutely. So, the philosophy behind it is a lot of what I went through in my own personal journey of being overweight for many years and then finally losing the weight, but still feeling unhappy. And it was really a lot of my story and what I overcame and the lessons I've learned. And then I get into a lot of tactical exercises. And a lot of it is just to be in the moment, and it's one of the hardest things. It's one of those like theoretical things, like live now, right? The past doesn't matter. Who cares about the future? Live now. So I said, well, how can we live in the moment? And I understood that there are things you could do on a daily basis that make you more present. And by training yourself to be more in the now, you will be a lot happier, a lot more fulfilled. But at the same time, you'll make better decisions. Because, I don't know what the exact statistic is, but, we have 80,000 thoughts a day per se, right? And your mind is always thinking. It's very overactive, and that causes a lot of chaos because you're thinking about stuff that happened in the past or thinking about the future. And when you could get even 10% of clarity, it makes all the difference. So a lot of it is like doing things like meditation and when you're eating, being a lot more mindful, sometimes even closing your eyes and eating slowly and savoring the food. Those are a few practices, or even when you're exercising, to be there, to be fully engulfed. If you have headphones on, listen to music, just be involved in the exercise, but don't think about anything else. So it's kind of like less thinking and more living.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly employ that exercise as well, where I really try to focus on my food and really enjoy the taste of it and chew it slowly. And I sit down quietly. There's not a lot of distractions, not watching television, just relaxing and really being in the now with my food. There's a lot of people that they're eating their meal and they're horsing it down and they're not psychologically fulfilled by it. So they eat more. And I think, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And we have a satiety usually kicks in around 20 minutes. So like people are just scarfing their food down, sometimes not even sitting down because we live such a busy lifestyle, and they're not even full, right? Because the body hasn't sensed that point of fullness, and they're eating more, you know? So it's like eating slowly has shown that the food digests slower, but also people that eat slower end up gaining less body fat because you process it much better, and you stop, right? You get full at the proper time.
You have a lot of projects going on right now, but what are you most excited about that you want to share with the listeners?
Sure. That's a great question. It gets me fired up. Had a significant change when I took my passion of fitness and helping people and took it online, because I love just helping people get results and transformations. So being a one-on-one personal trainer severely limited me, right? Because I was only able to take on clients within the hours in the day. So I'd get up at 5 a.m., work till 10 p.m. And, the first couple of years I could handle it. Yeah, sure, I love what I do. I'm passionate. But then I got really burnt out to the point where I just hated going to work and I dreaded the hours. And I started an online business that just made the world of a difference because it allowed me to now take my skills and expertise and leverage it. And also use my superpowers, right? We have different ways of expanding our reach, whether it's through speaking, through video, through writing, and allowed me to reach more people. So I just wasn't able to focus on the people in my local area. I had an international business, and upon doing this, I was like, wow, this really changed my life. The same way when I lost weight, it was a transformation. This was a business transformation. It really allowed me to reach more people, write a book, just do all these things that I've always dreamed about doing. So I started a business where I help personal trainers and health coaches, people that are in a service-based business, expand on their talents, to leverage their time and expertise and to help more people in the process.
And you have a podcast too, where you help health entrepreneurs become better entrepreneurs. And I was a guest on it. Thank you for having me on. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I have a podcast called Online SuperCoach, and Wendy, you were an awesome guest. Like, you just gave so much value, and just you were like out of the box with the stuff you were saying. Because most people, when they come on a podcast, and it's like discussing how they created their brand and how they help people, this is very generic answers. The answers you gave were very unique, which I loved, and really, I want to show people that they could monetize their passion, right? So I like to give different perspectives. It's like different types of coaches, dating coaches and health coaches and nutritionists, just a wide variety of them. But just seeing that if you're really passionate and you're willing to do the work to understand, the technical aspects of marketing and sales and having an online presence, you're now able to reach people on a larger scale. So one of my main objectives is to really feature successful people just like you who've taken their passion and now reached the masses and share how they did it. So my podcast is for anyone who has an idea, has a philosophy, and they want to help more people with it. So what are the building blocks? What are the step-by-step strategies how they could bring their message out into the world?
Well, I have a question that I like to ask all of my guests. What do you think is the most pressing health issue in the world today?
Great question. This hits very near and dear to me because it goes back into my whole study of psychology and just understanding how both, it's very beneficial, not to say that the mind is bad, but the mind is very hazardous as well. Over the past 6 months, 2 very close friends of mine committed suicide. And it was a big shock to me. They're both young, and on the exterior level, it seemed like they had everything going on in their life. It was a total shock, total like out of the blue, and it happened. It really hit me hard. Of course, I still think about them from day to day, and it's just very sad that a young person would take their own life. So realizing why did that happen, right? And like on their suicide notes, it was, I can't turn my brain off. I can't stop thinking. I can't live like this anymore, right? And right then and there, you see that, okay, there was something within their own beliefs that committing suicide, taking their own life, was a better solution than living with an overactive mind. So realizing how hazardous this overthinking is, right? Because it could leave a person to the brink of taking their own life, but at the same time, it could lead a person to overeating, or being stressed out, being unhappy. So just understanding the effect of a person's mindset on their quality of life, right? Because I feel like it's not just just happiness that it affects, but it affects your fitness, your nutritional choices, your relationships. So I really want to get into the core of giving people the opportunity to not only share if they're going through a stressful time, or if they're having moments when they're in despair and they don't have any options, having the ability to talk and vent, but just bringing more awareness to the subject, because I think that in this day and age also, we live in this world where we have social media. All these things are competing for our attention, and I feel like there is a lack of intimacy. Even though we're so connected, there's a way that we're not having like those deep conversations, and many times we're not able to open up to certain people in our lives. So just bringing more awareness to that. And I feel like just overall in health, the aspect of just looking within ourselves, and perhaps like you don't have to do like I did and go and master psychology, but reach out to a coach, go to a therapist, go to a trained professional who could help you. Because I think at the end of the day, I always think back to my friends and say, if there was that one conversation I could have had to stay a little bit longer, to keep on going, could I have done anything to stop them from committing suicide? It breaks my heart. And I always say that, just what I could do right now is bring more awareness to the subject, and make people realize that, that is not a solution. That should not even be an option, right? Yeah. There's ways to get out of it. It's not like it's a permanent thing that's going to happen. It's, suicide is a permanent solution for a temporary instance. So
yeah, and I completely understand. I was depressed for many years, and I can understand that mindset very well. And I also had a cousin that committed suicide. He was schizophrenic, developed that in his 20s, and killed himself, and it was devastating. And I think it's sad, because I think many people do reach out that are depressed or have mental health issues. They do reach out to people, but the traditional model of care does not work very well. I think that many psychiatric professionals are guessing at what's wrong with people. They don't do any kind of, they do talk therapy, which is great. That's very, very helpful. Studies show that helps. But psychiatrists who are dispensing, psychotropic medications do no testing whatsoever to find out what is wrong with their patients. And I love Dr. Daniel Amen, who is a big proponent. He's a psychiatrist of doing brain scans or doing some kind of testing to figure out what is wrong with people so that you can appropriately treat them. And I feel like a lot of, many times, the psychiatric professionals today are missing the big picture, that they are not even paying attention whatsoever to mineral deficiencies in the brain and to heavy metal and chemical toxicities that overstimulate the brain and cause their brain to ruminate and to be overstimulated where they can't turn their brains off. And even just simple amino acid replacement therapy, so simple to do. Even a simple neurotransmitter test, a urine transmitter test, can give a wealth of information. And a lot of professionals are not doing this, and I think it's wrong, because when people don't get their solutions, when they aren't able to calm their brain down, they feel like the only way out is to kill themselves. And so I think that's a travesty, and that there needs to be change in the mental health profession.
I agree. I mean, that's really great points, because like sometimes it's not just seeing a therapist or a psychologist, right? It's actually getting your neurotransmitters checked, right? It's simple blood test, mineral test.
Anything, something.
Yeah, something. There's always solution. There's always ways to fix the issue. Yeah. And, simple diagnosis will say, well, your serotonin levels are low, or your dopamine, it's not, secreting itself at high levels. And, you can pinpoint the issue and then find a solution, take a medication, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because, that's getting right to the core of the issue.
Yeah, and I think that I've got a couple friends that are under the care of psychiatrists, and they first start with an SSRI. Let's see if that works, and then
Mhm.
that doesn't work, and they give them something else. They give them antipsychotic drug, like Seroquel or something. Let's see if that works. That doesn't work. They'll add a third medication, or they'll increase the medication, and it's
Yeah.
just completely insane to me to do that, to be giving people medications like that that have side effects without any kind of testing. So that's my personal opinion. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about where they can find you and anything that you want the listeners to know?
Absolutely, Wendy. So you could check out my book on Amazon. It's called The Mind Body Solution: Train Your Brain for Permanent Weight Loss. Name AJ Mihrzad. You could find me on Facebook. I'm pretty active there. Feel free to add me, and I would love to talk to you if you got any value from this interview. And that's Facebook/AJ Fit. If you're interested in taking your passion or service or philosophy out in the marketplace, you want to have a tangible system. I actually wrote a book, and it's on my website. It's Online SuperCoach, and it's a quick read, but it'll give you the exact framework on how to take your idea, how to attract your ideal clients, how to sell and convert your services to sign them up to becoming coaching clients. And then third, how to leverage your time and expertise so you could serve people on a greater scale. And if you go to my website, Online SuperCoach/free report, you could download the book there. It's a PDF. And as soon as you download it, it's instant. You'll get the entire PDF, the step-by-step process. And very, very quickly, it'll give you a framework on bringing your idea into the marketplace.
Well, AJ, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
This was awesome. Wendy, thank you so much for having me.
And everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Live to 110 podcast. You can find me on my website, live to110.com. And you can find my new online health program, bodybioRehab.com, where I help you to fight adrenal fatigue and get your energy back. And you can learn about my healing and detox program, mineralpower.com, which I blab about all the time on the podcast at mineralpower.com. Thank you so much for listening to the Live to 110 podcast. Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's our pleasure, Wendy.
So it's a pleasure to be with you again.
Yes, thank you so much. So we're going to be talking about Lyme disease because I'm really surprised by how many people suffering from chronic fatigue and other health issues are suffering from this and are not being diagnosed by their general practitioners, even when they've gone to doctors year after year after year, and even decades. They're not being properly diagnosed and treated. So why don't you guys first tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and how you guys got into consulting about Lyme. Sean, why don't you go first?
Wendy, I specialize in clinical nutrition. I use metabolic pathways to help with the diseases. Since I'm not a doctor, I can't treat, diagnose, or prescribe anything, but I can evaluate people for imbalances within their body. So many people are treating a specific disease being labeled, but what we need to focus on is we need to treat the person and just not the disease or the label in itself.
Yeah, and Jess, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I've been a healthcare provider for now 39 years, and I started out as an EMT paramedic in New York City, and I also became an RN, and most of my training there was in emergency department nursing and critical care nursing. In the early 1980s, after being in the Army for 3 years as a captain, I went to chiropractic school, finished chiropractic school in 1986, and have been a chiropractor since that time. So alternative medicine has been always an interest of mine. When my son developed schizophrenia, I started becoming very interested in neuropsychiatric diseases and neurology, and started learning neurotransmitter balancing, and subsequently, the Neuroscience Corporation came up with the certification in neuroendoimmunology, which I got the first certification. And things just burgeoned from there. Then I met Sean, and he was absolutely brilliant, and we started putting ideas together and started including the epigenetics into this consideration. And he and I created a system of thought that we call bioindividualized medicine that puts epigenetics and neuroendoimmunology and mitochondrial dysfunction and cell wall integrity together so that doctors stop looking at diagnoses and start looking at the various parameters of the body and start fixing that, okay, because they were concentrating either on the end result, which they're calling a diagnosis, okay, and they're treating that, and that is like was singularly unsuccessful. That's why we have so many